do they even have a sense of urgency? Well, you just heard Draymond Green. He sounded defeated.
Well, I guess my question
I've never heard Draymond sound defeated.
No, I'm with you on that. And I know, like, we want to cling to this dynasty as long and as we possibly can, which I totally understand. And if they're not winning, it makes you sad because this team's brought you so many memories, right? Or even angry, on the verge of anger because of it. And you expect better things from him. But I want to ask sincerely, because I was listening to Spinoni the other morning, and he was talking about dynasties flaming out, and they always, quote unquote, always flame out. And has there ever been a dynasty that gracefully went out? And I'm not even saying they're done. I'm not even saying they're done.
The Niners.
What do you mean?
It feels like their dynasty gracefully, like they still were competitive.
When
despite
Steve
some of the
Young
core
got knocked
guys.
out,
He
it
got
felt like
knocked
a
out.
thud.
But it was over. It was over. But they had a great run. It was a great run. I don't know. I guess not. I mean, Boston, they lost to Detroit in the second round, and there were conference finals. That was that. The Lakers, when their dynasty was over, basically when Magic admitted that he had HIV, that was that. The Bulls basically tore everything apart. That was that. The Lakers got swept by the Dallas Mavericks and Dirk Nowitzki in the second round, and that was that for Kobe. The Heatles got blown out in the finals,
and Bosh
that was that.
Had the heart thing.
But at least they made the finals. At least they advanced to the finals.
Yeah, but once they
like
left,
this team may not even make it to the first round of the playoffs.
Well, I know it's sad.
And
but like
Joe Lacob's paying all this luxury tax money. People are getting on him. Maybe another owner you would want in that position.
I can't think of one.
So,
I can't think of one.
So has the dynasty ended like this? When you think about everything that's transpired this season for the Warriors.
With the players intact. I would say San Antonio was one that it took a minute, and then they went back into the playoffs. I don't think we took them as serious, and then they revved it back up maybe a year or two later with Kyrie when they faced the Warriors. But you had to move off of Tony Parker, and Duncan retired, and Ginobili, I think Ginobili had retired when the year that Zaza stepped on Kawhi Leonard's leg. So I don't know. I'm just asking out loud. Like, did we expect this to end gracefully? Like, I know we thought it would go on forever.
Yes, I do. I expected the transition to the youngsters to happen. I expected the youngsters to pick up the slack, and now the youngsters.
But they made the decision to not allow the youngsters. Like they had no time for the youngsters.
Right. Basically, they said that.
That was the team.
And
telling us
that was Steve Kerr, the players telling that, the veterans.
Yes.
And now the number 2 pick is gone. All right. Jordan Poole is a shell of. Jordan Poole's averaging 20, but he's not having that same impact that he did last season.
It doesn't feel the
All right,
same.
Moody's confidence, he's trying to regain it. Kuminga's playing well, but it feels like now, with Wiseman gone and everything, now you may not have Draymond Green next year. Who the hell knows what's going to happen with Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole in the offseason? Bob Myers may be out the door. Steve Kerr, those questions weren't arising before the season. We all assumed that, hey, man, they're going to be here for as long as they want to be here.
Was it a miscalculation, denial, randomness, people not stepping up? Like, what? Why? Like, honestly, think about this year. Like, what exactly was it?
In terms of just the weirdness?
Just everything. Like, why did everything...
How can you not go back to the punch? That was the start of things. Think about the vibes before the punch.
They were immaculate.
And I'm not blaming the punch for the season whatsoever.
No, I think it's part of
it.
it.
The vibes are great. And then the punch happened. And then there was this weirdness. And then you get off to the 3-7 start.
And then injuries.
And then there's finger pointing at who's to blame for the 3-7 start. And then the fans are divided because they're saying, hey, it's not Wiseman's fault. And you got another side of the fan base saying, hey, it is Wiseman's fault. Then you're getting people pointing the finger at Joe Lacob saying, oh, this is Joe Lacob's fault. He wanted to win this way. And Joe Lacob sitting back saying, hey, it's not my fault. This is a group decision. Why am I getting all the blame for this? Why? I don't deserve the blame. I'm spending all this money for this team.
So let's stop for a second and talk about that for just a minute here. Really, what are we talking about when we say that Joe Lacob didn't spend the money? Like, what are we talking about? Otto Porter Jr., who's out for the year?
Yeah.
Or are we talking, like, who else are we talking about?
Nemanja Bjelica,
who the fans couldn't stand until the final game of the year, basically?
This is why I knew people jumped the shark. They were begging back for Damian Lee. It was good to see Damian Lee a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but people couldn't stand Damian Lee.
They couldn't stand Damian Lee.
And
they called it nepotism.
Yes.
They were saying it was nepotism on why he was on the roster. Now we're begging for Damian Lee.
So we're talking about what? And DiVincenzo's been a great signing. So, like, and he's been healthy all year, outside of, I think, a little stretch at the beginning of the year we had maybe a COVID thing or whatever it was. Like, what are we really talking about? Just hanging on to young players? Again, you have to look at their salaries and look around the league and see who you could legitimately get for those contracts. And you tell me who's the difference maker, who's cracking your top 8, top 9. I I don't know. Like, as much as we want to blame construction of roster,
it's on the dudes.
And this guy allocated him, it's on the big dudes.
It's on the dudes.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
Is their big six this year as good as the big six at the end of last year?
No.
I agree with that.
No. Because Poole was part of that big six.
Yeah.
Wiggins is not here. Looney's a lot better.
I think that's the big part.
Looney's a lot better.
I think Looney's had a career
year. Everything out of Looney.
He's had a career year.
Everything that you could imagine.
Squeeze the lemon for every drop. And he's been very versatile coming off the bench, in, out, like anything they ask him to do.
Guys have been in and out of the lineup. So, can a win today do wonders for the Golden State Warriors?
Hell
absolutely.
Yeah. Especially for a team that you're facing. So it would be a 2-game swing in the standings.
So
this is a big one.
Let's look at the standings right now. Hey, Spinoza, if you could pull up the Bill Simmons sound, I want to play this because we get no cap 757 calling the show. It's Bill Simmons, Bill Simmons, Bill Simmons. Warriors are 6 right now, 37-36. They're a game away from the Clippers. I don't mind the Warriors being 6. If they get the 5, you got to play Phoenix first round.
Yeah,
be
I'd like to avoid Phoenix.
I don't mind being in the 6th spot.
I mean, I'd like to just get into the playoffs, but I would like to avoid them.
You have OKC at 7. They're half game behind the Warriors. They're tied in the loss column. So OKC is coming, and they're coming back to the West Coast before the season's over. That will not be an easy game, folks. Playing Oklahoma City. That would not be easy. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a baller.
What's their record versus OKC this year?
2-1.
They're 2-1. Okay.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a problem.
Yeah.
He's a big problem.
He's excellent.
He's a superstar in the making. So that's what OKC. Dallas right now in 8th place. If they win tonight, they jump you in the standings. Dallas tied with you in the loss column with 36 losses. Then you have Minnesota. They're coming to town on Sunday with Naz Reid and Anthony Edwards may play. He's day to day.
Reid? You mean Wilt Chamberlain against the Warriors?
Naz Reid. You know what's funny about Naz Reid? I remember the pandemic season.
How did he go so low? I don't understand how he's not more coveted. He's an excellent player.
During the pandemic season, there was a back-to-back with Minnesota, home and home. No fans. And Minnesota was a mess. They were out there scrapping. Karl Anthony Towns and D'Lo, and you had Naz Reid. Naz Reid was so erratic. I remember watching him like, man, this guy, he's active, but doesn't know what he's doing. This guy's gotten better and better and better each and every season. Now where he's, dude.
Wait, did he get better on the bench and in the G League or playing?
By playing.
Oh.
Go figure, right?
It's an interesting concept.
Yeah, right. Play the youngsters. They get better. The more you play, the better you get.
Play the youngsters. They get better.
I mean, go
figure.
Or
they prove they don't belong.
Or they prove they're not an NBA player.
Yeah.
Wiseman looks like an NBA player now. Maybe you jumped the gun on that.